Right. So the question of why I had to leave everything, why I didn't just pay the bills and stay there, I couldn't afford it. Um, when my grandmother passed away, there was a will that was supposed to be read that left me everything: the condo, the property, the Jeep, the money to take care of the bills. And there was a long note in the will explaining that she didn't think anybody would ever take care of me the way that she did. It was all explained in the will that everything was to be left to me because she didn't want me to wind up homeless. She wanted to know that I was taken care of. And I trusted my family to do the right thing. But my family was addicted to opiates. Opioids, however you want to say it. And expecting a drug addict to do the right thing is about like expecting God to show up. You can believe it and expect it and have every reason to believe it because they're your family. And you've always been told that in the end your family will be there, that they'll do right by you. But those drugs, they change your brain. And all you want to think about is doing right by the drugs. And family don't matter anymore. So when the time came to read that will, it no longer existed. And my family just took everything and distributed it amongst themselves and left me to be homeless. They didn't think they'd ever see me again. They didn't think I'd show up on YouTube. They didn't think I'd ever survive leaving the condo. They thought I would go out to those woods and die. Because I'm always surprising people. That's why my aunt is so hyper-focused on me now. Because she's afraid. If anybody ever believes me, if anybody ever looked and found that will, she couldn't afford to pay it back. And I know that because when she first started making videos about me, one of the things that she used to say a lot was that she's not going to be here for long. She'll be dead soon. She's old. That's drug addict think. You know, it's normal thinking if you're in your like 90s. But Kathy would be in her 60s or 70s. Not the time when you think, well, I'll be dead next week. Unless you're a drug addict. And you only expect to live as long as the drugs last. Or as long as the money for the drugs last. And then you might be thinking only a couple of years. Surely I'll go out before it runs out. Before I have to go without. Surely. But not if anybody starts asking questions. Had they read the will, I could have stayed. I could have stayed there with all my stuff and all my grandmother's stuff and had my home. The way it was meant to be. The way my grandmother wanted. Don't ever expect a drug addict to do the right thing. Even if they're family. Because the only family a drug addict has are the drugs. And I had to learn that the hard way. But I'm not going away the way that they wanted me to. Which is why they're here trying to push me away, trying to make me stop speaking. They wanted me to disappear, and I'm only becoming more visible. It's just who I am. I'm always pissing people off, doing the wrong things. I'm not just going to go away or forget. Regardless of how bad they want me to just move on, I know what the truth is. My grandfather and my grandmother too, but they wrote Kathy out of the will a long time ago. That's why Kathy won't read it. That's why she doesn't want anybody to read it. She knows they wrote her out in the 90s. There was a big rift in the family because of it. I don't know all the specifics because I was just a kid. But I remember the conversations that they had, my grandparents talking about it. Kathy knows that she was written out. She won't acknowledge it. She won't ever acknowledge that that will exists, and I'll never be able to afford to force it to be read. But we both know the truth. We both know the truth.